Nothing says freedom like troops in the streets of DC.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
Legalization.
Washington, D.C., just for some context, and I see Kate is hovering. She's our special Washington, D.C. correspondent.
Yes.
She lives there right now. I live in D.C.
As your correspondent and also your producer, do you mind pulling your mic a little bit closer to your face?
Why, certainly. Hello, ladies. It's time for Rick After Dark. I moved to D.C. in the summer of 1983 when I went to college at George Washington University. And we got in our first student orientation meeting, and they said, never go past 16th Street or you will be murdered. D.C. was a pretty rough town back then. And a few years later, after college, I moved back to work in the White House and work in the administration. And I lived on 13th and Mass. And I was told, never go past 10th Street or you will be murdered. And now this entire part of the city is full of people selling $25 organic smoothies and women pushing their babies in $5,000 strollers. There's only one little area of DC that's not particularly safe. And weirdly, none of the federal troops are there. All the federal troops are where all the reporters live. So that should tell you what the purpose of this exercise is so far.
So not what Benny Johnson wants, which is to, I think, ethically cleanse parts of DC and just wipe out full communities.
Benny Johnson, by the way, is, and I don't mean this as a compliment. I could mean this as a compliment for some people. Benny Johnson is the closest thing to Patrick Bateman you will ever meet in your real life. Sociopath of the highest degree. But long story short, I noticed they were patrolling Georgetown last night heavily, DuPont heavily. And folks, if you're not familiar with DC, these are affluent neighborhoods. These are not crime-ridden Somalian-style hellholes as Trump was describing them, or as President Miller was describing them. In Georgetown, they were definitely protecting Firebase Sephora from the incursions of the horde. But Kate, have you managed to run into the popo yet?
You know, I haven't. I have a bunch of friends who live up in the area where they were last night. In fact, let me show you a clip. People, there's nothing a white woman loves more than an excuse to get out in the street and start yelling, and we're really having a heyday this week in town.
Hold on, I'm going.
I mean,
like,
your papers, please. Ausweis, kommen Sie.
For anyone who's not familiar with that setup, what was happening is they had a checkpoint for cars set up, and a bunch of people saw that this was happening, and they went to the blocks around, and they were holding up signs, and they were like, "Turn right here, like get away, like don't go down this street, like you're gonna get stopped by ICE." And they pulled two people out of their cars and arrested them. And this is like what's crazy about where they set this up is maybe on a Saturday night. This is just about a block north of the kind of epicenter of the U Street corridor, right, where if you go a little east, that's where all the bars are, like the McDonald's on 14th and U, like there's always something going on at that McDonald's. On a Wednesday night, it's pretty quiet. Like I've been known to walk around that area alone on weeknights. Like it's pretty safe.
Well, and I would say this is because I think that's also where the Reformation is. I know I've been over there with my daughter shopping when we've been in town. And it seems like, is this just an attempt to show that they'll show up in these neighborhoods too?
They're trying to normalize the use of military force against American cities for two reasons. One, they want to acclimate everyone to the use of military force against Trump's political enemies, perceived or actual. Two, they want to scare reporters and they want to scare legislators. They want to scare lobbyists into submission, like, oh, Trump's serious. You can't fuck with Trump. And three, the MAGA base has been flipping out for a month and a half because of Epstein. They're still flipping out. They still have gotten nothing. The cover-up is still ongoing. They're mad as hell. About 15% of Republicans are now really mad about the Epstein matter. And so what are they going to do? They're going to show the one thing that those people will love more than almost anything except getting the Epstein thing, which is troops on the streets of a majority African-American city. It is absolutely the kind of gut level tactic that the MAGA base is susceptible to.
But all of that, Rick, to detain 2 people, I believe,
including one guy who threw a Subway sandwich at somebody,
which was absolutely fantastic.
Yes, please. Let's play the sandwich.
Motherfucker! Oh! Oh! It's fucking good! It's fucking good!
This keeps happening. I'm sorry. Let me get out of your way, Maya.
Oh, no, I like being up in Rick's brain.
There's plenty of room.
I just love that clip because it's like man throws sandwich and hilarity ensues. And I haven't seen Subway get this much press since they hired a pedophile. So it just seems par for the course for Epstein summer that this is in the news again. I don't know how Subway's social team could run with this or run away from it. But
hold on, look who's in the background. Elton's joined us. Hello, Elton.
Hey, I need a cat.
He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and lick myself.
I mean, that's, I think, what everybody wants to do at this point. That's what, like, summer was supposed to be for relaxing and chilling and, I don't know, doing whatever he's doing there in the background. And instead, it's turned into the summer of fascism, and it is to distract.
It's like hot Nazi summer.
It's a little bonkers. And the thing I was asking before is like the cost of this. We haven't seen how much it's costing to send in the National Guard, to send in all of these people into DC. But for all of this small government talk, all of this like, oh, waste, fraud, and abuse,
it's all garbage.
That I mean, they've got like Humvees stationed outside of the train station, and for what? It's a waste of resources, and it's demoralizing for the National Guard to be out there. And imagine going to think that you're gonna like apprehend people, and you just get hit with a sandwich.
You know,
how do you do?
there is a pendant question here. In our lifetime, there have been 2 significant terrorist attacks in Washington, D.C., 9/11 and January 6th. On January 6th, Trump refused to send the National Guard in, blocked it in the Pentagon, blocked the National Guard being deployed to deal with the terrorists he had sent there. And now, for show, for a distraction, for a prank, Donald Trump is now trying to declare federal control over the streets of DC using troops, using the forces of the National Guard in DC, and mobilizing all these federal agencies, including the FBI. Luckily, we're not having to deal with any kind of national security threats, human trafficking, drug smuggling, any of the things that the Republicans say they fear. Because all of those people from the DEA and the FBI and everywhere else, they're in the streets of DC looking for dishwashers and food prep guys in Mexican restaurants who might be here illegally.
Yeah, it does seem to be a distraction from what's actually going on, but it feels like, we were just talking about this before the show, Rick, is that it's more of a delay than a distraction. People are not going to forget about the Epstein files. When summer break is over, it's going to be right there in his face.
You know, the Epstein files are something that Donald Trump's probably familiar with. They're like a persistent, untreatable STD. They're going to come back over and over and over again. Just when he least expects it. It will always be there until this thing, you can't, in any kind of system where there's pressure, steam or hydraulic or whatever, the pressure is equal throughout the whole system. And if Donald Trump doesn't let some of the steam out of the system, like pop the valve to release the information, it's going to explode on him. There is a reason why Now, over 83% of Americans believe he was involved in criminal actions with Jeffrey Epstein because he's in the middle of an obvious cover-up. Let's go back, folks, to last week. Ghislaine Maxwell has been transferred to a summer camp. It's not even a prison. There are no gates. There are no walls. There are no fences. She's been given permission to leave the prison for work release. So I presume she'll be cruising the streets of whatever city this summer camp is in, looking for teenage girls for her next trafficking ring, because that is apparently her only means of employment. So all this cover-up stuff is still seething out there. There are little moments that pop up here and there. The troops in D.C., the fact that Donald Trump's strapping on the knee pads to go visit with Putin tomorrow. These are small things, though. The fact that Stephen Miller will only eat mayonnaise is the only condiment he will eat, that's a small thing. Significant and telling, but a small thing. But all these things are going to add up, folks, into the base will not ever get what they wanted, and they will stay pissed.
Well, the thing, and the way to show strength is to not run from something. And that is what he's doing. He's running from something, and people are starting to notice that. His base is noticing that he is trying to avoid it at all costs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Sending troops into U.S. cities, city after city, also makes him look weak on the national stage, because if he had a mandate, if he had control over America, if everybody loved him, why would he need to send troops into cities to try to
They would just obey in advance if they knew what was good for them,
right? Like his 2,000% approval rating, right? Like he wouldn't,
right?
There wouldn't be any.
I have the best numbers of any president ever, named Donald Trump, between the years of 2025 and 2025.
Speaking of numbers, inflation,
So
this is what's interesting, because he just fired the person responsible for the jobs numbers and brought in the guy who's like a Nazi magician, like he's in that 3-piece suit with the Nazi ship behind him.
Let me tell you, I looked up his profile on the Heritage Foundation website, and we could probably pull that up, but I'm going to riff for a second. First off, he's got a Nazi battleship behind him as his wall art. The Bismarck, the Nazi battleship, the famous Nazi battleship, World War II.
As you do.
Second off, this guy was at January 6th. He was standing around at January 6th outside. Now, the White House has very rapidly been like, oh, he was only a bystander. He was just a witness to it. He wasn't there. I mean, he was there, but he wasn't there doing the thing. No, folks, he was there as they tore down the American flags and replaced them with Trump flags. He was there when cops were having their heads kicked in, being hit with flagpoles and baseball bats, being sprayed with bear spray and mace. He was there when they put a gibbet in front of the Capitol and chanted, "Hang Mike Pence." This is like saying, yeah, you know what? I'm going to be hanging out today at the annual Al-Qaeda barbecue and goat fucking exercise in Afghanistan, but I'm not a terrorist or a goat fucker. I'm just hanging out with the terrorists and the goat fuckers. So this guy, if the U.S. Senate had any shred of decency, courage, backbone, or spine, this is a guy who was out there in the crowd from the people who wanted to kill them, including the Republicans. But they will, if he has to be confirmed, it will go through like shit through a goose, because these guys have morally collapsed in every possible way.
Here I am again.
Hi.
Sorry, Kate.
But inflation is higher than than they were thinking, and it is starting to translate.
How dare you, Maya? The vibes that have been declared by the president are the real numbers.
Yeah, someone said in one of our chats today, like, ooh, like new numbers guy better watch his back and stay away from Windows. I want to play a clip of Maria Bartiromo announcing the new PPI numbers today and wholesale prices and things like that. Aaron Rupar, who's a reporter on Twitter, he had tweeted this and he said, someone needs to put Swan Lake behind this. So got on that pretty quickly.
Breaking news right now, and a spike in the producer price level of inflation. Take a look. Markets are selling off here because the July PPI came in up 0.9%, worse than the estimated up 0.2%. This is the headline number. It was expected up 0.2, came up 0.9%. Year over year, it is up 3.3% versus an estimate of up 2.5%. Now, when you look at core, it's also troubling because in the core PPI, it was up 0.9% versus an estimate of 0.2%. Year over year, the core up 3.7%, also higher than the estimated expectation, which was up 2.9%. These numbers have caused markets to drop. The Dow Industrial is down 105, the Nasdaq down 71, and the S&P 500 lower by 19. We want to take a look at producer prices with the Transportation Secretary. Sean Duffy will be here to talk about other things like the modernization of the FAA, as well as the investment in space. But we're going to start off with getting his expectation and reaction to a spike in producer prices. We'll be right back.
Is it the final act? That's what I want.
Well, you know, the joke about Swan Lake is every time a Soviet or Russian leader dies, the TVs go black and they play Swan Lake. And Donald Trump led Kamala Harris in the exit polling last year on jobs in the economy. Voters who said that was their top issue, 9 points. On reducing costs, I think it was like 14 points. So as of now, prices are up, inflation is up, the stock market is down. I am starting to think, and call me crazy, Maya, this may be a big reach. I'm starting to think that Donald Trump is not the economic genius he sold himself as.
It doesn't appear that he's a genius of anything, the art of the deal, none of the things. And the thing about, we have to remember about the inflation and the prices, that a lot of companies stocked up prior to the tariffs.
They sure did.
They're drawing from inventory that they were able to obtain at lower prices. So they haven't had to pass on as much of these inflationary prices yet, but they're starting to have to, and they're figuring out how to spread it around. But businesses have a bottom line that they have to attend to. And
yeah, that pesky capitalism thing where you can't run the business if you can't make money at it.
Exactly. And so this is why I think really it's all percolating. We were talking about before the show, like all of Trump's problems are percolating. And one of them is this increase in prices is going to hit right when back to school, Labor Day. Think beef prices are like up, I think something crazy, like 20%.
No, it's like 41%. It's huge.
Like,
but I mean, look, the great irony, Maya, of Trump's base bitching about gas and egg prices during the campaign, and Trump, I've invented the word groceries. I don't know if you've heard it. It's an old-fashioned word. That was the centerpiece, aside from the trans hatred, of the campaign.
And the Epstein files. Yeah.
Oh, there's that. Yeah.
That they were going to release this. Yeah.
That guy told you, Americans, for our MAGAs who were in the chat tonight, he told you things are going to get great. It's going to be a golden age. Things are going to be so affordable. And now, with inflation coming back at 0.9 of a point in a quarter, this is not great. The markets finally have to run into reality, because you can spin yourself if you're a supporter of Trump for a long time, but eventually you end up having to go to the grocery store or go to Target or go to Walmart. And you got to pay it. And you're like, the fuck is this?
Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that you can tie directly the tariffs. If a company has to pay more to bring something in, then of course that product is going to cost more. So they're not going to be able to blame this on Biden as much as they will probably try to. It's just not going to work. People aren't that clueless, I would hope. And these tariffs are hitting things that people like, coffee.
You know, I am a fan of coffee, and it is pricey now.
Yeah. Is it going to be like the tea party, but it's the coffee party?
And here's the thing, right? But here's the thing. This idea that they sold in the beginning of the tariff thing was all this stuff will come back to America. We will build toilet brushes in America. We will grow coffee. Oh, wait, we don't grow coffee in mainland America. We have a little bitty, teeny little bit of coffee grown in Hawaii. That's it. So this idea that somehow this was going to be economic good news and that Trump kept tacoing it, delaying, it all worked until it stopped working, because now the prices are hitting, the inflation is rising, and this is going to, and the reason Trump is mad at Goldman Sachs and mad at Moody's is they are now like, we're going into a recession, y'all. We are going to be in a recession, and he caused it. He caused it by spending too much money. He caused it by the tariffs. He caused it by the big bad bill. I mean, it's just an astounding.
Well, and he talks about the billions and trillions. He actually said trillions of dollars that they're bringing in tariffs. He literally said trillions. I was like, wait, did you say?
We're bringing in trillions of dollars in tariffs every day. They bring it to me in gold bars.
But all of this money is just going into coffers to what? Crack down on more American cities? Like, none of this money is actually going to actually contribute to our any of.
This one MAGA woman, I saw it on Reddit the other day. She was shocked because she's like, "Well, my small business imports these things, and I had to go to the UPS center because I had to pay $600 on this order in tariffs, and I'm so mad. Who do I call to report that the foreign country isn't paying the tariffs?" I'm like,
yeah, it doesn't quite work that way. But speaking of foreign countries, international tourism is also down here, I think by I think it's like 15 to 20% overall. And so
it's like sad kazoo in Las Vegas right now.
Very sad. But it's also hitting Houston. And I'm sure it's hitting cities in Florida. And what's important to note about those are dollars that are not recirculated dollars. Those are dollars that are paid by Americans. That's money coming into America that's flowing into the pockets of American workers. And now that money's not coming, why? Because Trump has made America a very undesirable place to come and visit. Like, Canadians are staying away, Europeans are staying away, and the news really isn't reporting on it all that much, Rick. I've noticed they're always like, well, we don't quite know.
Well, actually, I talked to a Florida reporter. I talked to a Florida reporter the other day who is covering the gigantic drop off at Universal and Disney in Orlando and the empty hotels in Orlando, because people from Canada and people from the UK and Europe are not coming here. People from Brazil are like, no, thank you. No.
Can you imagine?
Pass.
Yeah. And this is going to have a ripple effect that's going to go into the holiday season. And I think that's why this is all going to come to a head. And I don't say that like in a way that I'm excited that everything's going to come crashing down, but I think it's going to all come to a head on Trump's watch much sooner than people realize, because right after back to school season, you have Thanksgiving. So you have people wanting to drive and visit their families, and you're going to have the costs of the celebrations. And then you're going to have Christmas gifts, and people can't buy the Christmas gifts early because people are already stressed and strained. And so all of this
Christmas, you only need one doll. Spoiled American children.
Meanwhile, JD Vacation Vance turning this like staycay. The new meaning of staycay is like stay on vacation.
Listen, let me tell you something. If Kamala Harris had forced whatever division or department in the state it was to raise a river so she could go canoeing, Fox News would be on the air 24/7 with a fucking helicopter over that river, reporting about it for a year.
Actually, on that
Rivergate,
I want to ask you guys before we move on, with all that in mind, with like all these really very real things that are about to start hitting the wallets of Americans, and like they're going to feel this stuff in their daily lives. Do you think that in the media environment that we're in, where Fox News can do wall-to-wall coverage of Canoegate if it were to happen, that people will actually blame Donald Trump for the problems that they're facing, or will they find another thing to be upset about or ignore it or say that it's like growing pains?
Look, Fox is going to always have, because remember, so folks, if you're watching, Fox has what they call the brain room. It is a suite of offices in the Fox building in Manhattan, full of a bunch of really smart incel goons. And these guys literally look all day long. They spend all day long on Twitter and Reddit looking for some fake story to turn into the latest edition in the catalog of imaginary demons. And there will always be something that, trans pickleball is a threat to democracy. They will always make up some crazy bullshit. They will always find, like, the entire Sydney Sweeney thing last week. It was made up. They made it up. They made it up. They went and they found one troll account on Twitter that has traditionally posted right-wing shit about Sydney Sweeney's good genes thing. And then they're like, the left wants Sydney Sweeney dead. They hate beautiful women. And they made it up. They will always make it up. Now, the good news about the Fox audience is last election cycle, they were still eating solid food, and now they're gumming it. They're getting older. They are old now. That is a dying audience. It is old boomers.
I think that they are. And if I remember, they died out in much more quickly than everyone else because of all the misinformation around the COVID shot. And so the death cult that they're willing to die for their dear leader.
Right.
Are they willing to suffer economically for their dear leader? I think yes, and they won't blame him. I don't even necessarily know that they'll blame Democrats. I think they'll say, "Oh, we have to suck it up and deal."
See, they believe,
which is why I think it's so important for Democrats to message about J.D. Vance's vacations, for example, or the $200 million ballroom, or the fact that all of this money is being spent on immigration enforcement, and how many criminals are they really actually apprehending?
We can't give veterans health care, but we can give $50,000 bonuses to Dean Cain or whoever's joining ICE, which I find, we made a commitment to our veterans, but apparently it was just optional while we have people to round up.
And not just even the homeless sweeps that they plan to do. So many of the people who are homeless are veterans. So
in DC, absolutely, a very large fraction of them are veterans.
Yeah. So I think it's really important for Democrats to message on that and say, hey, look, this guy sold you waste, fraud, and abuse, but how is this helping you? They talked to you about giving you $5,000 rebates from all of this savings from Doge. Have you gotten your $5,000 check yet? I think
anybody with a $5,000 Doge check, I will match it. If you can do me a $5,000 Doge check, anybody, I'll match it right now, today.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting those rebates.
I think I'm going to keep my $5,000.
I think so. Everybody already in their mind had what they were going to spend their Doge checks on, and then they just never came. Hey, Kate, sorry.
No, you're great.
Apparently we are just not exciting tonight because Elton is back there in a coma.
So I want to move on to our next topic, which is an update on this redistricting fight. So Gavin Newsom and his press office, by the way, have been having a ton of fun.
Crushing it.
Killing it.
I'll show it in a second. They held a press conference today to announce the Election Rigging Response Act. Great branding, by the way. And his new redistricting plan to counteract GOP gerrymandering in Texas and other states. Start us off with a little clip from that presser.
So we're here with our state of mind, with the clarity of our purpose and conviction to recognize that we need to reconcile the world we're living in. We do have agency. We're not bystanders in this world. We can shape the future, and that's what we intend to do today. We're here because Donald Trump, on January 6th, tried to light democracy on fire, tried to wreck this country, tried to steal an election, as Alex just said, by trying to dial in for 11, almost 12,000 votes. And here we are, an open in plain sight before one vote is cast in the 2026 midterm election. And here he is once again trying to rig the system. He doesn't play by a different set of rules. He doesn't believe in the rules. And as a consequence, we need to disabuse ourselves of the way things have been done. It's not good enough to just hold hands, have a candlelight vigil, and talk about the way the world should be. We have got to recognize the cards that have been dealt. And we have got to meet fire with fire. And we've got to be held to a higher level of accountability. So that's what this is about. It's not complicated. We're doing this in reaction to a president of the United States that called a sitting governor of the state of Texas and said, find me 5 seats. We're doing it in reaction to that act.
Love this energy, fighting fire with fire, though I prefer fighting fire with a blowtorch, personally. These tweets are...
This killed me.
That tweet was solid gold, all-time top 10.
Many say the most loved and handsome governor. They also yesterday just tweeted Covfefe, which is like... It's great. Well, like, it's so good.
And the woman behind these is Latina, actually, which I think is amazing. Somebody did a profile on her on IG, and I was like, yes.
And the fact that that she's ending all of them with "Thank you for your attention to this matter."
That's so good. So I want to ask you guys how you think Newsom is doing here beyond just how great his press office is doing, and what you think other Democratic leaders should do. Should they follow his lead? And if they all do the right thing, is there any chance, do we have any hope of staving off this sort of inevitable GOP victory if they gerrymander their way through this next cycle?
I think between him and Pritzker, I think they're fucking crushing it right now as far as leadership goes. And I would love to see other Democratic governors also step in with this level of leadership. And what I think is really interesting about this is that he's not just breaking the law. He's not saying, I'm going to go ahead and do something illegal as well. He's saying, no, we're going to call for a special election in November. And so I think a lot of what Trump does is he does things to try to break our democracy. So even if you try to respond in kind, you're just playing into his game. And instead, Gavin's like, no, we're still going to respect the will of our voters. And we're going to ask our voters, are you okay with us redrawing the maps? And so this to me is so much more important than just fighting fire with fire. It's fighting fire with smart fire.
You know, I have to say, I think you're spot on that, Maya. They have finally realized that worrying about the rules when the other team is going to burn it all down. And I've been saying this a lot, so people focus on it. If you let them have this cheat code in Texas and don't respond, they will quickly do it in other states and roll up the numbers. Mm-hmm. Because if they have a majority by cheating, they'll take a majority by cheating. They don't really like elections. They don't really care about elections. They would like to just be in power. And if they are in power in the majority in 2028, and I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit, they will not certify a Democratic candidate for president. And the House has to certify the election. They will not do it. And they will do everything in their power to ensure that Donald Trump gets another term or that Donald Trump's designated successor gets a term, even if the Democrats win. That's why the work we're doing at Lincoln to beat their asses like rented mules in the year 2026 is so important. And that's why we're encouraging folks. And I think Newsom and Pritzker have done a magnificent job so far. I think other Democratic governors need to step the hell up as well, because this is now nuclear warfare. And if we're going to deter the Republicans from doing this, which is a unbelievable assignment to have to do, then they need to know that if they put 5 on the board, we're going to put 7 on the board. And they put 7 more on the board, we're going to put 15 on the board. We're going to do the exact same thing in every other state that Democrats control that they've done in Texas. We're going to shrink down the Republicans into little tiny apartheid homelands, just like they did in Texas, to Democrats and Hispanics and African Americans. And you want to play that game? We'll play that game all the way down. And I like our odds, actually, given the way the states are set up and given how gerrymandered most Republican states already are. It's hard for them to squeeze a lot more blood out of that turnip.
Yeah,
So,
you bring up a really good point, Rick, and I think it's clear that they are actually scared now that Democrats will respond in kind, and that's why Trump decided to send in about 100 Border Patrol agents to Gavin Newsom's press conference today in an act of intimidation, because he knows. They all know that if other Democratic governors follow in kind, like you said, like we have a lot more juice to squeeze out of our redistricting than they do. And I think Democrats are finally starting to realize that the whole two wrongs don't make a right means the bad guy always wins. Like Republicans just take advantage of that over and over again, knowing that, oh, well, Democrats will try to, we woke up Elton.
there he is. Stretch it out, G. Hold on, let's see if we get a little Elton cam here. Nope.
Oh, he was just repositioning.
He's like, I've been catting all day. I'm exhausted. I'm done. How dare you keep me on camera? Elton cam. It needs like a big house music effect, like bah, bah, bah.
But we haven't even talked about the whole Alaska Putin Trump thing yet. And that's the thing, like so much chaos is happening that this is like something that he said he was going to end this war on day one, that the war wouldn't even have gotten started if he were in office. And now he's going into this meeting and it's not even really it's a discussion. It's just to see what Putin's
let me tell you what it is Trump's going to give Putin another tongue bath. He's going to go in there and be swooning, swept off his feet, because Putin's going to bring him like a golden, I don't know, statue of a bear or some bullshit. And Trump will be like, I love him so much. But, look, we saw Helsinki, folks. We know what happened in 2018. Whatever was said in that room between Putin and Trump privately, the translator literally is afraid for her life and she will never testify about it. There will be no objective translation happening in that room because Putin speaks English. And none of this that's going on is justifiable. Donald Trump is invited a war criminal who slaughters children every day by targeting daycare centers and schools and hospitals and nursing homes every day. Today, this very day, they launched cruise missile attacks and drone attacks on schools in Ukraine. And Donald Trump's like, no, we're going to talk. It's good. We're going to talk. We're going to swap some land, and I'm going to give him part of Alaska's minerals.
Which, I mean, any Republican in Alaska right now, I would like to think would be aghast, horrified by the fact that Donald Trump has invited Putin onto their soil, into their state, to even have that kind of discussion. I don't understand how this would be putting America first.
He's also committing a percentage of Alaska's mineral rights to Russia.
No, it's insane.
And the reporting today, he had not spoken to the governor. He had not spoken to Senator Sullivan or Senator Murkowski or anybody else. He just did it. He just made that shit up. That's what he does.
Because he can. That's what in his mind, he can just grab anything.
I'm going to allow Putin to have access to all the UFOs.
Look, once this dude realized he could say, I can grab him by the pussy and he could still be our president, he realizes he can say and do anything. And I think that was the biggest problem about letting him ever get into office in the first fucking place. And basically this meeting with Putin is almost like a meeting with his handler. Like, that's what it feels like. That's why we can't know what happens in this meeting. Because at the end of the day,
I actually have a piece coming out tomorrow in my Friday newsletter about that There's a reason why Putin is so good at this. He's descended from 1,000 years of Slavic tradition of manipulating the West. And he's a graduate of the KGB. He treats Trump just like an asset. And Trump treats, he's like, yeah, Donald, you're my asset. Sorry, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to get in trouble if I continue. We're going to have Kate pop it up.
Is he going to tap that asset? Sorry.
You're going to tap that asset.
We're focused.
Okay, Kate. Sorry.
So before we move on to the sort of like rapid fire, what did we miss? I want to ask one more question about this, which is what do both of these guys, what does Trump want out of this meeting? What does Putin want out of this meeting? We know that they're, coming from two very different places on what they want, but can you sort of break that down for us?
Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize.
Exactly.
He
wants to be the peacemaker.
Right. He wants the Nobel Peace Prize. He doesn't care about how he gets there. He will settle for that still piece of death that happens after the birds have finished their work in the killing fields. He will settle for Ukraine dismantled, dismembered, and its leaders slaughtered. He'll be fine with that. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Trump is playing for the short-term dopamine hit of Trump made peace in Ukraine, but just like Chamberlain made peace in the Sudetenland. But Putin is playing the long game. He wants to reassemble Greater Russia. He wants to reassemble the Soviet scope of Russia from the Pacific to the middle of Europe. He wants to retake the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. He wants to retake the eastern third of Poland. He wants to retake Ukraine and Moldova and the stands. This is a guy who has a broad, long-range vision. And Trump is like, where's my chicken for lunch?
I mean, Rick, well, that's what I was going to ask you, because we're clearly not sending our best. Like, our delegation.
No, we are not. Well, I mean, look, and Steve Witkoff, who, honest to God, Steve Witkoff was a guy whose sole experience was like real estate development in New York and a little bit of investment in like casino properties or some horse shit. The Russians have rolled this guy over so many times. He looks like a fucking pierogi. This guy has been rolled and tricked every single time they sit down with him. He's the one who went in the room and Putin said, yes, they have to withdraw from Mariupol and Donetsk and all these places in eastern Ukraine. And
that's
he used their interpreters.
Yeah.
And so he came back to the White House and said, yeah, Russia's going to withdraw. Putin said, Ukraine has to withdraw from its own territory. So that's where Trump's like, we're doing land swaps. We're swapping land. I'm like,
Witkoff's just on Duolingo, just
right.
Getting ready for the meeting. Like, I can't fuck this up again.
Trust me. Witkoff has an infinite capability to fuck things up.
It's a shame, because once again, like, we had so much potential as a country if we weren't wasting all of our resources on these kind of shenanigans. And I cannot. It's unfathomable. I think I posted something this week, just like, how the fuck did we get here? And I mean, I know how we got here, but it's weeks like this when I see that there's just like, Rick, tell me, what part of MAGA right now is watching Trump go meet with Putin? What part of MAGA is able to, in their minds, justify that this war isn't yet over?
There's one segment, and JD Vance is adjacent or in it. There are a lot of white Christian nationalists who think that Putin is the sole factor in holding back the godless tide of the homosexers and Western decadence. Okay. They think Putin is the savior of the white Christian world. And there's a guy named Alexander Dugin, who is sort of the Steve Bannon of Russia, sort of the court philosopher of Putinism. And Dugin is proposing a sort of world divided in three. Russia controls all of Europe and most of Asia. China controls the Pacific and the South Pacific. America controls whatever North America and the Donald Trump travel and entertainment division of the world government is. But Dugin is a very powerful thing, and he has persuaded a lot of American conservatives, including folks like Curtis Yarvin and Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance, that Vladimir Putin is saving the white race. It is, first off, ludicrous, because Russia is a rather multi-ethnic country about 150 miles outside of Moscow. It changes very quickly. The further east you go, the further east you go. But that Christian nationalist segment of America really does love this Putin vibe about, no LGBT people are in Russia. No pornography is in Russia.
Or at least I would say, yeah. Well, and if that's what they're planning on modeling America after, it seems like they're starting to get their wish, because now Kim Davis has brought the lawsuit about gay marriage, trying to end gay marriage in America. And I think a lot of people, the young people who voted for Trump, probably took for granted some of the.
Let me tell you, it should be the least surprising thing ever. Because in Project 2025, which is the guidebook, the operating manual, the whole thing, of course they want to get rid of Obergefell. Of course they want to get rid of it. In Florida, I heard, I actually was given a memo a couple of years ago that was their TikTok on it. They want to go through a 3 or 4 phase thing. They're still in phase 1, which is to remove LGBT materials from schools and libraries and curricula. Part 2 is to ban LGBT teachers. Part 3 is to stop gay adoption. Part 4 is to have a law waiting, just like they did with Roe, that triggers automatically when Obergefell is overturned at the federal level. It automatically invalidates all gay marriages in Florida. Now, they will try this on the national level. The Supreme Court may well do this. And I don't. If you were a younger voter who said, "Oh, I'm going to vote for Trump for the economy," he doesn't care. All that social stuff is just a joke. Good luck. Have the day you voted for.
Well, yeah. I mean, even if you're a tech bro or one of the crypto guys, and you think that they're not coming for porn eventually, they're coming for porn.
Oh yeah. They're coming for porn. They are coming for porn. And you know what? I mean, I know that will affect Stephen Miller very quickly. I know that's a real problem. He subscribes to Only Raccoons and Roadkill Weekly, but it's really going to be. It really. I should stop right now. I'm about to get myself in so much trouble.
I was like, Kate's here.
Why don't we? Why don't we? And let's do our wrap up segment of the day with our sort of rapid fire. What did we miss?
Stephen Miller at home on his computer going, "I'm going to go on Only Dead, the necrophiliac website."
All right. Starting off, you guys stop me if you've got a note. J.D. Vance's vacation in England got ruined with a bunch of meme billboards of him. And also he closed a bunch of roads just so they could drive on the right side of the road, which is like some crazy.
Rude. It's rude.
He just wants to be not just hated here, but hated globally. And I think that's important. Yeah.
PragerU was floated as the replacement for PBS now that that's been defunded.
I mean, having consumed a lot of their content, I just want to say, slavery wasn't all that bad, just like they said.
Oh my God.
No,
right?
There was a clip from PragerU that I used in something years ago that was like, it was like an animation of Christopher Columbus, and he was like, yeah, and like we colonized the place and like killed a bunch of Native Americans. No big deal. Like the words were no big deal. I don't remember. I gotta find it. I
think it was basically like slavery. Everyone was doing it back then.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Those slaves had it pretty good. Oh, did they?
Did they? Yeah.
Ron DeSantis said he's opening a second detention center to house and process undocumented immigrants, dubbing it Deportation Depot.
That motherfucker is the thirstiest little bitch I've ever seen.
I love
He's so desperate to be back in the presidential race, and he does not understand. He's a dead man walking politically. He and his wife stole $10 million from a legal settlement from a Medicaid fraud case to put in her charity.
And no amount of alliteration is going to fix that.
No.
Not Alligator Alcatraz or Deportation Depot.
Deportation Depot.
Like that playbook is dead, sir.
It is. And again, this guy is the thirstiest bitch. He is so sad that he's out of the picture. In Florida, you'll find a lot of his fans still have like a little alligator in their Twitter avatar or their Twitter bio. And you can always tell when they're trolling. It's like, you're all just afraid of DeSantis. He's coming back. He's going to run for president again. Ron DeSantis will be lucky if he's the president of the Palatka Community College when this is all over.
Oh, man. Moving on. Trump has demanded that the Smithsonian institutions and museums rewrite history in his image. They're like going through the museums and making them erase the word racism from everything.
I think they should take it literally and do everything in his image. Like every Smithsonian is just
right.
portraits of Trump throughout. Like
when the founders met in Philadelphia, they were inspired by the future Donald Trump. They said, will we have a president who's truly classy, who understands gold everywhere? That's what we're really worried about. Not the Federalists or the anti-Federalists. We need a president who has the taste of glitter bukkake Liberace stylings.
Oh, that's what it is. It's not Liberation City. It's Liberace City. He won't stop until the entire city's gold.
Gold.
We had a couple more things on this list, but I'll leave you with one because I knew you had. I knew you had what to say about gold. I knew you had what to say about this before the show. Laura Loomer testified under oath that Lindsey Graham is gay.
Laura Loomer also testified about the characteristics of both Kamala Harris and Marjorie Taylor Greene's, shall we say, lady business. Because Laura Loomer is insane. I read the transcript. I for you, America, I read the deposition. I'm pretty good at reading a deposition because I've given a lot of them in the last couple of years in this ridiculous Flynn matter where he sued me. I read Laura Loomer's deposition, and I think after about the 15th or 16th time where she vehemently denied, they would ask her questions like, "What day is it this week? I did not sleep with President Trump. We are not lovers." Girlfriend, nobody asked you this time. Over and over and over again. It's almost enough to make me think that she was heavily prepared for one particular line in this deposition because she denied that she slept with Trump, I think about 15 times in that depo. I was like, and it would come at random intervals. Like, where do you live? I didn't sleep with Trump.
She's
okay.
Like, this is the line I know. I think that deposition could probably be turned into a solo show on Broadway.
Oh my God, right? Laura Loomer's vagina monologues. Boom! Wilson brings it.
Don't ruin it.
Me tweets. Whitney. A plus. Me tweets. I'm just gonna say if y'all read the deposition, just first before you start, search the keyword Arby's. I mean that is the meat. We have the meats Arby's. Just search that. Nope.
All right.
I promise.
We miss anything, you guys?
You know what?
Taylor Swift. How come
I don't care about that?
Oh my God, that makes me sad. Even I care about Taylor Swift right now. Because remember, Trump said she's not hot. And I beg to differ.
Second-rate Taylor Swift, who only is about 4 times richer than me.
Reclaiming the, because he wants to be the showgirl. Truly.
Think
Really
about it.
Life of a showgirl.
Think about it. He is basically the horrifying flip side of a showgirl.
Yeah. He wants to be in the spotlight, in the limelight at all times. And even though he's grotesque in the spotlight, you see, and he hates anyone who is beautiful in the spotlight. And that's why he hates Taylor Swift so much. So,
yep.
And amen to that.
Man, the chat was booming tonight, y'all. Booming. Well, we're going to do this again next week, everybody.
That we are.
yeah.
So tomorrow, tune in for me to lose my shit on Elephant in the Room, also on Lincoln Square, and the Lincoln Project. We'll be back with 4,718 podcasts next week. I don't know how many.
If I haven't been detained by ICE outside of my own home, I'll be here too.
Catch me tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on Morning Joe.
Ooh.
We'll tune in. And catch me on Punching Up. I have comedian Dana Goldberg on next week.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah, she's fun. She's funny. I'm having all comedians now because I've decided I just want to laugh because everything's so sad.
You know, Stephen Marsh, my Canadian journalism friend, has a piece he wrote recently, and it was just about like don't think Canadians aren't angry. They're angry. Canadians being angry should scare people. By the way, someone just talked about the Gulf of Mexico. When Trump is gone from office, I want one job in the White House. I would like to come back to the White House just for a couple of days. I will personally pay for and rent the backhoe from Home Depot to tear up that fucking patio. I will send out the order to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Mexico. And I will find a place somewhere in the lowest sub-basement of the Pentagon to put Donald Trump's official presidential portrait because he's a petty bitch and he deserves the same thing.
Take a jackhammer to that patio. Let's
I want to be the guy that strips off all the Temu gewgaws in the Oval Office.
Ugh, yeah.
Grotesque.
Bury him with it.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to take my cat. I'm going to go write 5,000 words, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.